Hello, Connor here. Well, let's get the first elephant out of the room. Statements made last video. I intend to do a video at least once a month. Apparently did not come true. As for the title of this video, you might be wondering why I had to restart. I'll get to that in the end, but first I want to explain what I've actually done that's new. So like and subscribe and let's get on with it. First thing that's new is the inventory system. The inventory system now works as I intend it. You can see what's inside the player's inventory by going to the inventory menu. You can select items, place items, even select how many of one item you want. You can also interact with the items within the actual world itself. For example, I can rotate this item. I can also place this item onto a sloped surface. This is controlled by a setting within the item data. Basically, if I have a tall object, I don't really want it to be sitting on a very steep slope. However, flatter items, maybe I'll be able to put them onto a greater incline. The setting is based on the Y component of the normal. The normal is a vector that points perpendicular to the surface that it refers to. If the Y component of the normal is 1, then that means that the surface is perfectly flat as the Y component is pointing straight up. If the Y component is 0, that means that there is no Y component. In other words, the normal is pointing somewhere to the side. I flip this round so that 0 means that no slope, and 1 means like you can stick it on the side of a wall, for example. There are probably a few other features that I need to include to make life a bit easier, but this is the basic setup that I want to have. The idea is that you can use this to decorate a airbase or home base. I also want to include some functionality later if I include crafting, where you're able to use items within the vicinity of your location. This makes decorating, say, a crafting station actually useful and fun. The other thing that I've been working on has been refactoring. When I say refactoring, I don't mean like I've been changing the code, which is normally what's used for refactoring, since the only thing I've been really working on has been the actor, and when I went to go and do the inventory stuff, I realized how complex my actor had become. I actually restarted the project. This was quicker than when I started because obviously I knew what the end goal was and I knew exactly how I was going to achieve some of the things, but now the thing is actually easier to use. All the data for the actual actor that makes it different from other actors is stored within a actor data. The actor component that sits on the game object, that's the thing that makes the game work and know where this thing is in space, has one item, and that's what's the actor data. I have had some feedback as well, not a lot, but I'm not expecting much since only a few views on my video. One of the ones was that my parents, hi mum and dad, have now started watching this video. Someone asked me exactly what type of game I'm making. I mentioned Daggerfall, but I appreciate not many people actually know what Daggerfall is. It's more popular these days because of the latest thing, Daggerfall Unity, that makes it more accessible. Daggerfall Unity, it was a procedural game that was trying to emulate Dungeons & Dragons in a first-person view. This means that you control the character like you do in, say, Doom or any other first-person shooter, but your character has stats, and a lot of the abilities, including the ability to hit another character, is based on your stats and not necessarily player skill. There is some player skill, you can do a lot of tricks, but if you can't use a weapon, it doesn't matter how much you swing it, you can't hit it. It worked alright in Daggerfall, possibly because the feedback didn't seem so janky, but they used the same system in Morrowind. And my graphics are more based on how Morrowind did it, which is same idea, but with 3D graphics and much more realistic, and I'm using quotation marks here, experience. I don't think Morrowind did it wrong. I think the problem was that the rushed development, that they didn't really have time to develop the feedback. They were developing everything else. I'm not creating a new engine, I'm just building on top of an existing engine. Basically, the two things that I'm probably doing that will make it easier, I'm simplifying combat. It's a case of you either block an attack or you don't. There are a lot of things that might happen in the background, but from the player's point of view, if they swing and the game says you miss, the character you're attacking will do a block animation, so it's clear as to what's happened. Therefore you get some feedback. So it doesn't feel like you're doing nothing with your, you're not too sure if you're actually even connecting with the enemy, because that can be a thing within 3D space. The other thing that I'm hoping to include is procedural generation. What might not be clear as to what I'm going to be using it for. I'm going to have a predefined world with a map, and the idea of that map is going to have locations. Now, some of those locations I want to be able to tweak or put things in, but since it's me that's making it, a lot of them are going to be procedural generated. They'll be the same for everyone, but they'll be based on where in the location they are. Same with any kind of quest you go on. I have an idea for quests, which I'll go into when I get to that position, but the idea is these quests will be generated, the player will know where to get certain types of quests, like thieving quests or dungeon clearing quests, so they'll be able to choose what type of quest they want to do, and then it will generate one of these locations, or it will take from a list of pre-existing trouble locations, for want of a better word. Then the player will go and do the mission. One of the things I also want to do is have these missions be present within the world. What I mean by that is, if you're out and about in the world and happen to be within the area where, say, bandits are attacking, attack the bandits, maybe even clear out the bandit hideout. And the quest structure would mean that the fact that you know the bandits exist and that you cleared out the bandit camp means that you already had the quest. You just then need to find who you need to turn it into. I think that's the broad strokes of what I want to achieve. As I said, I would like to put some story elements into it, however that's less of a focus. I want to more focus on the core loop and make that fun, because I'm not entirely sure how much of this project I'll be able to achieve. Another thing that someone asked is they would like to see more of the process. I assume that they mean when I was doing my artwork and such, they would like to see, hey, you're doing making textures or making models. I have thought about that, and I think that later on down the line I'm going to be making much more assets, and maybe I might do some actual streams or just sort of talking heads with footage in the background. But currently most of the graphics I'm making are purely to make sure that my code actually works, and also as a test to see, can I actually achieve this art style within a reasonable time frame. I mean, I can actually do very high quality models, but they'll take me months to do, and if I've got like 100 models to make, then that's just not viable. Anyway, as I said, I'm not going to make any predictions as to when the next video is. I've learned from that mistake, but until next time.